All right, I'm sure that when you hear that one of the methods used to crack passwords is to guess the password, you may chuckle a little bit. It seems rather absurd that you or I could walk into a large company and simply guess somebody's password. Now, there are a few different types of tools similar to a tool called TS Grinder that will allow us to automate the ability of guessing a password on an administrator account. Now, in this case, we're trying to log into a terminal server, but there are other tools used for other types of servers, such as FTP, Telnet, or even mapping a drive on the operating system the user is logged into. Now, in the end, we want to attempt to figure out the administrator password. It's kind of funny, but in my experience, it is generally the administrator account that has the weakest password.
Now, speaking of fun things, you can also go to a company called Splash Data and check out their annual reports of the most commonly used passwords. Now, they call it the worst passwords list because it's common, it's bad. This list is derived from hacked passwords that have been posted to the internet over the year. If your password is on this list, you may want to start looking for a new job.
Yeah, great advice. And from experience, it is not likely that you will guess the password of any user or administrator for a company who is using standard password policy enforcement. However, that does not mean that you should ignore the possibility. Now, I will generally take a look at the password policy of the company and then try to figure out the easiest password that could be used related to that password policy.
Okay, now that's a great point, Jeff. And when it comes to password guessing, we need to understand the password policy that's been put in place by the administration. There are many different types of general policies being used. Password history enforcement is a method where we can require that the user changes a certain number of characters from the old password into the new password, and we can also guarantee they do not reuse a password from the last year if we want it. We can also require the password be changed every so many days, generally 60 days or less. We can also set a minimum password length. The most common we see in the industry is 8 characters. And there are also many complexity requirements. For example, you can have to use upper and lowercase letters along with 2 numbers and 2 special characters. You can also prohibit different types of passwords like dictionary words along with the 25 most commonly used passwords and not allowing the use of personal information in the format of calendar dates and other types of common numbers that we see in the industry.
That's right. And when you take into consideration all of these types of requirements, the most glaring issue in this example would be an 8-character password. Now, for example, when I look at these requirements, I can look at my keyboard and quickly and easily type out a password that is easy to remember, easy to find, and surprisingly easy for a hacker to guess. Now take a look at the password here. It's !1QASW2 and the @ sign, as this meets all of the requirements mentioned before. However, if it only uses 6 keys and they're all very, very close together. So you might be surprised at how many administrators use something like this. Now, this is just one example of many, but remember, I am very seldom able to guess a password. I usually have to use some other means to get what I need.